Hi guys, welcome to my channel. You can call me E. This is Women in History. So this video and probably the next several videos I'll be uploading will be a lot less formal than my fully edited videos. Um, I've just felt really bad about not posting on the channel, which I have my reasons. One, I'm preparing for a cosplay in the next few months in June. So, I want to get in shape for that because I want my costume to look like I envision in my mind, and in which case my body needs to be in the shape or as close enough to the shape that I envision for me to be happy with the cosplay. So in order to do that, I've since mid-February have started going to the gym. But the thing with that is I work sometimes between, at the latest, I work at 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. At the earliest, I work at 4 a.m. Then when I'm done, I gotta take my husband to work, and then I'm homeschooling the kids all day, make dinner, all this stuff. So really, the only time I'm really free to like go somewhere without my kids is before work, which means I have been getting up at like 2 a.m. To go to the gym, and that hasn't really been so bad. It's just really difficult managing that, taking care of home, and then plus we're going to be moving in a couple of weeks. Um, and now my body is just kind of worn down and tired, and I'm sick. So I've got my wearable blanket on. Haven't taken it off for a couple of days now. Also, the other issue is, yeah, I think that's it. So I felt really bad about not uploading to the channel. I just wanted to make sure um I had established a routine of going to the gym and being consistent with tracking and everything. So I really needed my mental space to give that all my attention and energy to make sure I got started correctly. And so if things get derailed, if I need to put focus on other things, like I have that habit of working out and tracking my food and all that stuff. Like I've already got that established for a good solid month, so it's more like a habit for me now, versus like a daily mental struggle. So it is still a daily mental struggle, but I do feel like I've gotten a good start and I've gotten a handle on it. And unfortunately, illness has forced me to slow down this week, and take a couple of days breaks, which I don't mind. Like, I'm getting closer to 40, so I really, really, really don't play about recovery and sickness and stuff like that. Like, I don't care what my goals are. Like, my health is definitely still the most important, thinking more like hormonal balance and dealing with stress and dealing with illness. So if I need to take a rest, I need to take a rest, and I need to make sure I get my vitamins and hydration and all that stuff, right? Um, but in the meantime, that means this channel has suffered, and I really don't have time to edit a fully researched video. I have one ready. I just don't have the time to really film and edit it. So I figured the best solution would be, when that happens with life situations, is for me to upload these less formal videos, right? So this is more a way for me to talk personally, and in the future these are probably going to turn into lives, um so that you guys can interact with me, and whatever we're discussing. So for in these informal videos, these are going to be like topics or things like I've come across about women in history that I want to talk about, but I don't think require a full length of video from me, right? So that's what these informal videos are for. Just FYI. And then at some point, if I can, I'm definitely going to turn them into lives so you can interact with me. Because quite frankly, I don't feel like being too personable and showing too much of myself on my fully edited videos, because I want the focus of those videos to be on the woman or women I'm highlighting. So I try not to interject too much of my personal life, right? My personal opinion and interest into the video in a major way. But with these less formal ones, I feel like we can get to know each other more. You guys can get to know me a little bit more. Um, and all that jazz. So anyway, all this rambling, I don't even know if you're still here. If you are, thank you. So let's get into our topic today. So I was scrolling Facebook. Yes, I'm still a Facebook girly because I am almost 40 years old. I don't do Instagram. I don't do TikTok. TikTok is a mystery to me. I think I uploaded one video before of like a beginner pole dancing routine I came up with to a song I liked, and that was it. I the other mechanisms of TikTok I do not understand. I do not get. Um, you know, my age is showing. So it is what it is, what it is. So, but anyway, so I saw on Facebook, just scrolling, them talk a photo talking about how like tuberculosis led to fashion changes um in European fashion. And I just thought that was like so freaking wild, because I mean, we talk about how ridiculous trends and challenges and stuff like that are these days, but I feel like a topic like this just goes to show that humans are humans and there's nothing new under the sun. And as crazy as we just have different methods, we have different mediums for being crazy, but this whole ridiculous trends and things like that is nothing new. It's nothing new to human beings. And I just really am shocked and amazed that that anyone could turn a deadly disease into a fashion trend. It just boggles my mind. And I think that's one of the craziest trends I've heard, even from today's age. Like, considering today's age, like I don't know, I'm gonna have to put using tuberculosis as fashion up there as one of the craziest trends I've ever heard. So we're gonna read this Smithsonian article about this time period, and then you can leave your comments and opinions down in the comment section. Like I said, at some point I want to turn these into live videos discussing like the random history stuff I come across. But until then, we're just going to do it this way because I'm sick, and on top of that, I need to be packing. So again, I just feel really bad for not uploading on the channel, so just want to get this done. I didn't even refresh my makeup, guys. I'm really just feeling bleh, like a soggy mud pie. But anyway, let's get into the article. Yeah, I'm gonna pop this gum out. Hope that didn't make too much noise while I was speaking. Alright, so let's get into the article. So again, this is from the Smithsonian Magazine, written by Emily Mullen on May 10th, 2016. And the title is How Tuberculosis Shaped Victorian Fashion. The deadly disease and later efforts to control it influenced trends for decades. And again, that is absolutely wild to me. Absolutely wild. Marie Duplessis, French courtesan and Parisian celebrity, was a striking Victorian beauty. In her best known portrait by Edouard Vianot, her glossy black hair frames a beautiful oval face with sparkling eyes and ivory skin. But Duplessis' fame was short lived. Like Violetta, the protagonist in Giuseppe Verdi's opera La Traviata, whose tale Duplessis inspired, Duplessis was afflicted with tuberculosis, which killed her in 1847 at the age of 23. Oh, wow. That's super young. By the mid 1800s, tuberculosis had reached epidemic levels in Europe, and I'm sorry, just a thought just came to my head. There are some there are some crazy people, specifically women, who feel like they want to be beautiful when they die. And I'm trying to phrase this carefully. Like, I don't know if it is like the urge to necessarily die young, but I mean, I've definitely heard um like women that were like obsessed with looking beautiful when people find them after death or during death. So for some people out there, I'm sure dying at the age of 23 at the height of your beauty was probably very romantic sounding. Um, I don't know which celebrity it was, but I did hear a story that there had been a former celebrity like in old Hollywood that unalived herself, and before she did, she got dressed up and got really, did her hair, did her makeup, and then took some pills thinking that, she was going to die peacefully. And what ended up happening was that her body started seizing and stuff like that, and foaming at the mouth and stuff, and it was what she was going for did not happen. Like, when they discovered her, she was very messed up looking. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm sure there's some people out there, and I'm sure there were people during this time that definitely probably romanticized dying at the height of young adulthood in order to preserve their beauty, which is insane, but I mean, is not the craziest thing I've heard. And unfortunately, people have some very not great mental health trains of thought, and kind of obsessed with beauty, right? And I don't see this being very far-fetched that people would romanticize somebody dying young and beautiful. I think there was some song that said that too. Like, please no. I will die at old age, hopefully. I don't care if I'm beautiful when that happens. But anyway, let me take a sip of my tea and we'll continue. So, to continue. By the mid 1800s, tuberculosis had reached epidemic levels in Europe and the United States. The disease, now known to be infectious, attacks the lungs and damages other organs. Before the advent of antibiotics, its victims slowly wasted away, becoming pale and thin before finally dying of what was then known as consumption. The Victorians romanticized the disease and the effects it caused in the gradual build to death. For decades, many beauty standards emulated or highlighted these effects. I'm sorry, I just can't get over how shallow that is. Yeah. You're gonna die, but at least you're gonna be hot. Like, and then to do beauty trends emulating the look of someone who is literally dying. Like, that is just so shallow and so disturbing. And as scientists gained greater understanding of the disease and how it was spread, the disease continued to keep its hold on fashion. Between 1780 and 1850, there is an increasing aestheticization of tuberculosis that becomes entwined with feminine beauty, says Carolyn Day, an assistant professor of history at Furman University in South Carolina, and author of the forthcoming book Consumptive Chic: A History of Fashion, Beauty, and Disease, which explores how tuberculosis impacted early 19th century British fashion and perceptions of beauty. A beauty standard based on literally dying. During that time, consumption was thought to be caused by hereditary susceptibility and miasmas, or bad airs, in the environment. Among the upper class, one of the ways people judged a woman's predisposition to tuberculosis was by her attractiveness, Day says. That's because tuberculosis enhances those things that are already established as beautiful in women. What is that? She explains, such as the thinness and pale skin that result from weight loss and the lack of appetite caused by disease. Oh, that's so sad. The 1909 book Tuberculosis, a treatise by American authors on its etiology, pathology, frequency, symptomology, diagnosis, prognosis, prevention, and treatment, confirms this notion, with the authors noting a considerable number of patients have and have had for years previous to their sickness a delicate, transparent skin, as well as fine, silky hair. Sparkling or dilated eyes, rosy cheeks, and red lips were also common in tuberculosis patients, characteristics now known to be caused by frequent low-grade fever. Okay, I can get it a little bit more now, because I love reading books. Growing up from British authors, and yeah, I mean, I guess just objectively speaking, like the rosy cheeks, red lips, silky hair, yeah, that's definitely have been seen as attractive. And so, gosh, I mean, I guess for me, it's just kind of reconciling. I'm going to blame it on the ignorance of the disease. Like, if they knew more information about the disease, would they have romanticized these qualities? Like, would they have maybe been a little bit more critical if somebody was exhibiting these qualities and also like very weak or limited movement and things like that? Like, would they have thought of it? I'm trying to say, I'm hoping if they had known more about the disease, that it wouldn't have taken such a shallow turn. Like I wonder, like, they know this is related to this disease, and still the greater emphasis is still on the attractiveness, despite the fact that they know this is going to lead to an early death. I guess, yeah, that's the part I'm having hard to reconcile. Like, where's your humanity? Like, you know that these people are probably most likely going to die, because it's not the reversed, right? It's not that they were admiring these qualities and they didn't know it was related to disease. They knew about the disease in that it produced these qualities. So I would just kind of feel like knowing that the source is a disease should have trumped any shallowness of considering attractiveness of the disease. Like, it should be some part of your brain like, oh, like, I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion that if you're born pretty, then you're going to die from this disease. And I'm sure everyone wasn't beautiful that had tuberculosis. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. I'm just really trying to process the shallowness and the lack of empathy, maybe, and really questioning humanity right now about how this person has a life-threatening disease and all you can care about is what they look like. I think that's what I'm trying to say. All right. So we also begin to see elements in fashion that either highlight symptoms of the disease or physically emulate the illness, Day says. The height of this so-called consumptive chic came in the mid-1800s when fashionable pointed corsets showed off low, waifish waists and voluminous skirts further emphasized women's narrow middles. Middle and upper-class women also attempted to emulate the consumptive appearance by using makeup to lighten their skin, redden their lips, and color their cheeks pink. The second half of the 19th century ushered in a radically transformed understanding of tuberculosis when, in 1882, Robert Koch announced that he had discovered and isolated the bacteria that caused the disease. By then, germ theory had emerged. This is the idea that microscopic organisms, not miasmas, cause certain diseases. Koch's discovery helped germ theory gain more legitimacy and convinced physicians and public health experts that tuberculosis was contagious. Preventing the spread of tuberculosis became the impetus for some of the first large-scale American and European public health campaigns, many of which targeted women's fashions. Like, no duh, they would have to, because now you've got all of these women, now you've got to convince all these women that think this disease is trendy to be more careful and to be more conscious of their health. Like, again, I'm gonna give them the excuse of ignorance, but I mean, at some point they had to notice that people that were exhibiting these symptoms were dying quickly and early, right? Doctors began to decry long trailing skirts as culprits of disease. These skirts, physician says, were responsible for sweeping up germs on the street and bringing disease into the home. Ah, okay. I can get with that. That makes sense. Consider the cartoon The Trailing Skirt, Death Loves a Shiny Mark, which appeared in Puck magazine in 1900. The illustration shows a maid shaking off clouds of germs from her lady's skirt as angelic-looking children stand in the background. Behind the maid looms a skeleton holding a scythe, a symbol of death. Ooh, they were not holding any punches when they were trying to make their send their message, were they? Corsets too came under attack as they were believed to exacerbate tuberculosis by limiting the movement of the lungs and circulation of the blood. Health corsets made with elastic fabric were introduced as a way to alleviate pressure on the ribs caused by the heavily boned corsets of the Victorian era. What? It says the lush facial hair of the late 1800s wouldn't survive public health efforts of the early 1900s. Oh, I bet. So they're pretty much saying like, hey, like anything loose on you, including your facial hair, anything that could restrict you, could expose everyone in your household to germs, is what I get from what they were saying. Men's fashion was also targeted. In the Victorian period, luxuriant beards, sculpted mustaches, and extravagant sideburns had been all the rage. The trend can be partly credited to British soldiers who grew facial hair to keep war during the Crimean War in the 1850s. But facial hair was also popular in the United States, where razors were difficult to use and often unsafe, especially when not cleaned properly. But by the 1900s, beards and mustaches themselves were deemed dangerous. There is no way of computing the number. I'm sorry, it just is so funny to me. So they did like a complete 180. Oh, they just did like a complete 180 on society. I can just imagine little doctors and scientists like running through the street with scissors ready to start cutting off mustaches. Like, can you imagine being stopped on the street and preached to you about your too long skirt and your too big mustache or beard? Oh. There is no way of computing the number of bacteria and noxious germs that may lurk in the Amazonian jungles of a well-whiskered face, but their number must be legion. Edwin F. Bowers, an American doctor known for pioneering reflexology, wrote in a 1916 issue of McClure's magazine. Measles, scarlet fever, diphtheria, tuberculosis, whooping cough, common and uncommon colds, and a host of other infectious diseases can be and undoubtedly are transmitted via the whisker route. By the time Bowers penned his spirited essay, facial hair had largely disappeared from the faces of American men, especially surgeons and physicians, who adopted the clean-shaven look to be more hygienic when caring for patients. The Victorian ideal of looking consumptive hasn't survived to the current century, but I don't know. Like, wouldn't we consider kind of like what heroin chic is? I mean, except it's attributed to, like the drug, but I feel like this is a very similar look, like kind of looking like you're wasted away, right? But tuberculosis has had lingering effects on fashion and beauty trends. Once women's hemlines rose a few inches at the beginning of the 1900s, for example, shoe styles became an increasingly important part of a woman's overall look. And around the same time, doctors began prescribing sunbathing as a treatment for TB, giving rise to the modern phenomenon of tanning. Wow. Well, you learn something new every day, right? This was all new to me. So, I don't know, guys. What are your thoughts? Do you still see evidence of the tuberculosis fashion trend in society? Definitely that idea about prescribing tanning or sunbathing, that was definitely new for me. Like, I'd never heard that. To be real, like, I never even considered that people would base fashion around disease anyway. But I guess it's not new to human history. So anyway, I'm going to take off. I'm going to lay down for a little bit, make dinner, and then try to get cracking on the packing again. But let me know what you guys think about this article in the comments section. Like I said, I've got a lot to do for the next couple of weeks, so I won't be uploading any like formally edited videos, but I'll try to do some more of these informal ones in the meantime. So until then, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever it is. Stay well, take your vitamins, stay hydrated, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.